In the last few years, classic fantasy role-playing games have come roaring back into the mainstream. BioWare's Dragon Age, The Veilguard, released in late 2024, marked a bold new chapter for the iconic series, reviving Thetis with modern visuals, updated mechanics, and enough character drama to fuel an entire Bard's songbook. Meanwhile, Larian Studios' Baldur's Gate 3 wasn't just a success, it was a full-blown phenomenon. A 96 on Metacritic, Game of the Year awards, and the rare feat of making dice rolls feel like a spiritual experience. Capcom threw its sword into the ring too, reviving the cult favorite Dragon's Dogma 2 with a massive world and exhilarating action. And let's not forget Blizzard's Diablo IV, which, love it or loot it, marked a return to form with its dark aesthetic and loot-hungry pacing. These modern hits all tap into the same primal gaming joy, building the perfect character, chasing the next great drop, and occasionally setting half a village on fire because you misclicked your fireball. So in this golden age of fantasy revival, why not Dungeon Siege? It had the dungeons, it had the siege, it even had pack mules with built-in inventory. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to dust off the armor and march back into Arana. Before we can talk about where Dungeon Siege could go next, we need to talk about where it began. It's April 2002. Gas-powered Games, helmed by Chris Taylor of Total Annihilation fame, drops a new action RPG into the world. Published by Microsoft, Dungeon Siege offers a bold promise. No loading screens. Seriously, none. Not between dungeons, not between towns. Not even when you walk face-first into a cave you're clearly under-leveled for. Set in the kingdom of Abe, the story follows a humble farmer, because of course it does, who finds herself, or himself, dragged into a full-blown war against dark forces. So far, so genre standard. But where Dungeon Siege shined was in the details. No fixed classes, just start swinging a sword or flinging fireballs, and your character grows that way. Want to become a sword-slinging healer who occasionally dabbles in archery? Go for it. The game's flexible system made experimentation fun, not punishing. With an 86 Metacritic score and 1.7 million copies sold, Dungeon Siege proved that action RPGs didn't have to be either brainless hack and slash or stat-heavy spreadsheets. They could be streamlined, smart, and still a blast to play. Then came Dungeon Siege 2 in August 2005. A bigger game, a deeper story, a class system, sort of. Players could now pick from 4 combat archetypes: melee, ranger, nature magic, and combat magic. And just like the first game, you weren't stuck in a role. The sequel introduced companions with actual personalities, not just walking backpacks, and combat got a slight overhaul. You could now control attacks more precisely, though fans of the original's auto battle could still toggle that back on, like grumpy old wizards refusing to change their ways. Critics once again gave a thumbs up. Dungeon Siege 2 scored 80 on Metacritic and snagged PC Gamer's Best Role-Playing Game of 2005. Fans remember it for its expansive world, the satisfying rhythm of battle and loot, and the strange pleasure of leading a conga line of armored party members across scenic bridges and monster-infested plains. Together, the first 2 Dungeon Siege games carved out a loyal fanbase. No, it didn't outshine Diablo in raw numbers, but it did something else. It made epic RPG adventuring accessible. And for a moment, it felt like Dungeon Siege was poised to become a defining franchise in the genre. After a few quiet years, the Dungeon Siege franchise re-emerged, but it wasn't quite the same. In the late 2000s, the series changed hands. Square Enix acquired the rights, and in 2010 they announced a surprising revival, Dungeon Siege 3, developed not by gas-powered games, but by Obsidian Entertainment, the studio behind Fallout New Vegas and KOTOR 2. Though Chris Taylor remained involved in an advisory role, the shift to Obsidian brought a new direction, one that set Dungeon Siege 3 apart from its predecessors. Released in June 2011 for PC, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360, Dungeon Siege 3 traded the sprawling party management and open exploration of its predecessors for something more focused. A tighter, more cinematic story, a cast of 4 predefined heroes. You could only take one companion at a time. And movement? No more point and click, this was full analog stick action, clearly built with consoles in mind. To its credit, Dungeon Siege 3 looked great. Combat was snappy, responsive, and the AI companions weren't total disasters, a rare feat. But the reception? Let's just say, mixed. A 72 on Metacritic. Critics praised the polish and core mechanics, but something was missing. The story, while more prominent, felt flat. Dialogue-heavy cutscenes slowed down the pace, and for fans of the original games, the soul just wasn't there. Gone was the seamless world. Gone was full party control. Gone was that classic feeling of leading a ragtag band across open terrain while loot practically exploded out of barrels. And while the new co-op allowed up to 4 players online, it couldn't quite recapture the magic. In the end, Dungeon Siege 3 sold modestly, around 820,000 units. Not a failure, but not the triumphant return the franchise needed. It had been modernized, yes, but in the process, something got lost. That unique blend of accessibility, scale, and exploration that made the originals special. And just like that, Dungeon Siege faded into the mists of memory. Now it's 2025, and fantasy RPGs? They're thriving. Old franchises are rising from the ashes, and players are hungrier than ever for the next great adventure. But it's not just about big names. It's about rekindling that spark, that feeling of stepping into a world that's as vast as your imagination, and looting it until your inventory cries uncle. And that's why Dungeon Siege still matters. Because what made it special back in 2002, it's exactly what players are craving today. Let's start with the seamless exploration. No loading screens. No, please wait while the next biome renders. Just one continuous world to get lost in, and let's be honest, probably ambushed in. Today's hardware could make that design sing even louder, bringing Arana to life in full 4K with ray-traced shadows and zero pop-in. You could walk from mountain peak to lava-drenched cavern without a single cut. Then there's the loot and level loop. Dungeon Siege practically invented the dopamine treadmill before that became a design meme. Just one more dungeon, just one more spell, just one more enemy who drops pants with +3 fire resistance. Sound familiar? And cooperative play? That was core to Dungeon Siege. Friends joining forces, fighting side by side, or accidentally fireballing each other in close quarters. With today's online infrastructure, that kind of co-op could be slick, seamless, even MMO adjacent. Drop-in co-op. Shared world hubs, customizable heroes. It's not a stretch. It's overdue. And let's not forget accessibility. Dungeon Siege was intuitive. No need to study skill trees like their ancient runes. Click to move. Auto attack options and flexible builds meant you could ease in, have fun, and still feel powerful. A reboot could keep that simplicity while layering in deeper systems for those who want to min-max their fireball radius. Modern games like Pillars of Eternity, Wasteland 3, and the remakes of Diablo II and Baldur's Gate prove there's a thriving market for both remasters and reimaginings of classic RPGs. Players aren't just buying nostalgia, they're buying quality gameplay with roots. And Dungeon Siege has roots. And look, maybe it's just the part of me that still sees Dungeon Siege 3 sitting there, proud, awkward, alone as the first game in my Steam library. But this series deserves a comeback. The pieces are there, the players are ready, the legacy is waiting. Dungeon Siege may not have been the loudest voice in RPG history, but it was clear, it was clever, and it carved out something special, a space between the hardcore and the casual. And now, in this renaissance of fantasy RPGs, it might just be the comeback story we didn't know we needed. So, here we are. Over 2 decades since a humble farmer picked up a rusty sword in the Kingdom of Ab, Dungeon Siege still holds a place in the pantheon of RPG history. It wasn't always perfect, it wasn't always pretty, but it was ours. And in an era where fantasy is thriving and old heroes walk again, maybe, just maybe, it's time for the pack mule to ride once more. If a modern Dungeon Siege ever rises from the digital depths, we'll be the first ones storming the gates, spells in hand, inventory full, and absolutely no idea how to spec our companions. And hey, if you want to join the party on this adventure and maybe help convince some developer overlords to take notice, then smash that subscribe button like it's wearing +10 boots of engagement. Seriously, hit it. Extend our party size. And if you enjoyed this dive into Dungeon Siege history, you'll definitely want to check out my V-Rising video. It's got vampires, base building, and far fewer mules. Thanks for watching, and as always, may your loot be legendary and your potions never run out mid-boss fight.